All right, welcome back. Now, let's talk about views and view groups, what they are, why they are so important. So, a view in Android is anything that can be interacted with on the screen. So in this case, a view occupies a rectangular area on the screen and is responsible for drawing and event handling. For example, if we have a button or a text view or even an edit text, all of those UI components are part of the view class, meaning they inherit from the view class. A view is one of the most important Android building block components. It's a very important component because you'll see that pretty much everything, if not anything in Android, is one way or the other connected to the view class. The great thing about views is that they all have attributes and properties that we can change and or set. For instance, with a button, we can actually invoke the set text property. So if we wanted to change the text or the title of the button, we could just invoke set text and pass in the title or the text that we want the button to have. Okay, we can do the same, of course, with the text views. We can go ahead and say get text. That will just retrieve us the text. For instance, in this case, the text view says hello world. If we say get text, we will retrieve the hello world. Now you'll notice later that those properties set text can also be used not only for buttons but for any other view that interacts with text. For instance, we can also set text to our text view using the set text property. Of course, we can also use the get text in our buttons and so forth. So you can see a lot of similarities. On top of that, we can set event listeners to our buttons, of course, but also to all of the other UI components that are related to a view. So a text view, an edit text, any other user interface component related to a view, we can also add an event listener to it. That's one of the most important concepts for us to understand how views work, because the whole idea, of course, of a view is this rectangular area where we can add user interface components, but all of these user interface components are related or inherit from the view. Therefore, all of the properties that the view has, all of the children will also have. Now, the next thing we need to understand is a view group. So a view group is essentially a container of views. So it's a special view that can contain other views. These views are often called children. So the view group is the base class for layouts and view containers. So if you look at this diagram here, you'll see we have at the top view group, and we can actually add other view groups inside of the parent view group. And then we can add a view. So you can create hierarchies here, right? So you could have a view group on the top and then add another view group. And then inside of this main view group at the top, we can add other views such as buttons, text views, and so forth. So now you can create some sort of a hierarchy of views. So a good example would be when we create our user interface using our XML. You can see here we have linear layout at the top, and then inside, so the linear layout will be our view group, and inside we have embedded views. So in this case, we have a text view, we have a button. We could have added another linear layout inside, or relative layout, or frame, so any other view group that we wanted. Okay, so that's the idea of view groups. I'll see you in the next video where we will continue talking about Android and user interfaces. See you next.